you ever had a conversation with someone and then walked away and thought, I don't think they've listened to anything I've just said? Yeah. The stewards think that about me now after all the meetings I've got wrong. The living example there. You hear the feedback and you go, were we even in the same conversation? Were we even in the same room? Yeah, I'm going to read those minutes a lot more carefully now. You think you've got a plan to get anything, things are going to get anything. This is it, we're all on the same page. But it goes completely wrong. It happens a lot with children, where you'll tell them something, and you think, they've understood this. They've looked at me, they've nodded, they are with me. We're there. So Darcy's just coming out of the biting phase right now, which all children go through. Fair enough. We went through it. Darcy's coming out at the end now. We're very happy with it. She kind of felt that her coping mechanism in life would be like a shark attack. She'll just chomp. And I understand it. I get it. First time, pull her aside. Go, look, that's just not how we deal with things. We don't bite. Yeah. We're not going to bite. No, not going to bite. A couple of seconds later, she bit it. And I pull her aside, go, no, we've decided that's not what we do, is it? That's not what we do. No. We don't bite, do we? No, we don't bite. Fantastic, thank you. Goes away. Next time, Obi annoys her. She does her best Jaws impression, bites on him again. And the thing that always gets me is whenever I used to take her away, she used to look at me with utter confusion if I don't understand why I'm in trouble. I've done nothing wrong. I've told you, you know, we don't bite. And it gets more and more frustrating the longer it goes on. Because you think, I've told you, you heard me, you nodded, you agreed, and then you went and did it again. And it becomes more and more frustrating. You can forgive it in children though. You kind of get the fact that it's pushing boundaries, it's what a child does. And you can forgive that. Well, fair enough. When it happens to you with an adult, that's far more frustrating. Honestly, this is a very real story. This happened to me with a friend of mine. When I was at Cliff College, we decided one year we were going to go on holiday together. We realised we were in a very unique part of life. We realised we were second year, our finances were really sorted, we were really quite well off, we were sharing a flat together. How often in life are you going to share a flat with your best mate? You know, we were living the life. And we said, look, we'll take advantage of this. And we'd agreed together that we were going to take a lads' summer holiday abroad. Lads' summer holiday abroad. Well, that's easy. Now, this agreement that we'd reached, that we'd agreed on, has 3 basic things involved in it. It's for lads. I thought that was quite easily established. It's going to be during the summer, and it's going to be abroad. I thought we'd agreed this. A lads' summer holiday abroad. We've had that discussion. We've nodded on it. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Have a lads' summer holiday abroad. Fantastic. A week goes by or so, and I go back to him to check in and say, have you had any ideas? He said, I've not looked yet, but my girlfriend's going to check for us about where we can all go. I didn't think that's what we'd agreed, but he'd already invited her. She was now very excited by going on this mostly lads' summer holiday abroad. And she made a cracking meatballs and pasta, so I thought, you know what, there are worse things that happen. Fair enough. I'm not attached at this moment in life, so it's not like I can balance out the equation. And well, fair enough, fine, it's fine. So she's now coming to it. Brilliant. So another week goes by, and I go to him and say, so any thoughts on where we could go? He says, yes, Blayze, I have found the perfect place. Well, brilliant, fantastic. Where is it? Nottingham. Now, I don't want to disparage, I understand some people do go to Nottingham, I understand it happens. But we had a lecturer who commuted from Nottingham to the college. It wasn't a holiday abroad as much as it was a bus journey, you know? Lads, summer holiday abroad, and he thinks Nottingham. And he said, I found this beautiful place in Nottingham, this beautiful cabin place in Nottingham, beautiful. I said, really? He goes, oh, it'd be wonderful in winter. He said, when the snow falls, it's very romantic. I thought, I don't know what ideas you've got for me and you, but this isn't the holiday I'd envisioned. So, Our summer holiday is now turned into a winter holiday. Our abroad holiday is now a Nottingham holiday. Our lads holiday is now a mostly lads holiday. There's not much further we could have gotten wrong at this point. And he then adds to it. He adds to it. He says, because we think it's so romantic and stuff, and because we don't want his girlfriend Rebecca to feel like she's on her own with some lads, we've invited another couple to come with us as well. So it's now a couple's retreat, and me, to Nottingham in the winter. And I thought, this can't be right. He can't have gotten it this wrong. I pulled him aside and I said, do you not think that actually that's not going to be great for me? I don't have a girlfriend to bring. You and your girlfriend, another couple, to this romantic place in Nottingham, if such a place exists. I said, do you not think I'd be out of place? He genuinely paused and said, you probably shouldn't come. With utter sincerity, he told me this. The lads' summer holiday abroad was now a couple's retreat without me to Nottingham in the winter. I was best man at his wedding. I told this story, and people were like, nah, that didn't happen. It did. It did. We've never been abroad together. I don't trust it. I don't go anywhere with it. I don't trust it just because. But people they have this ability sometimes where you get the impression you're just not listening. You're not listening. And it becomes so frustrating. And the disciples fit that category so beautifully. So much throughout the Bible, you look at it and you go, you're clearly just not listening. We've got the great benefit of hindsight. We can read, we've got the cheat sheet, if you like. We can read through and see what's going to happen. So it becomes really easy for us to look at it and go, oh, come on, he's already told you this. We can look at the chapter and verse and go, you've already been told. How are you still getting this wrong? Clearly you're not listening. But at the time, I'm sure it makes sense. Jesus tells him in the Gospels that he is going to die. He says, the Son of Man must be lifted up on the stake. He says, the Son of Man must suffer death. The Son of Man must die. He's told quite constantly. And yet they are very shocked when he dies. He tells them the Son of Man will rise on the third day. And yet they don't expect to see him again. When Mary comes to him and says the tomb is empty, they assume the body has been stolen. They don't assume he's resurrected. We could look at that and go, you're just not listening. But reality is their mind is in a different way. We spoke about it last time. It's common sense. The first common sense response is not to go, someone is resurrected. The first common sense is maybe not to go, the Messiah sent from God is going to die a brutal death. It's not what you naturally think of. And so you get to the reading today. So the context of what we've read today, Jesus has now died. He was crucified. He was resurrected. The tomb was empty. And he's already visited the disciples. He saw them in the upper room. Just before this chapter, you have the story of doubting Thomas. You have the story of him saying, until I see Jesus, until I put my hands in his wounds, I won't believe he's resurrected. So that's all just taken place. What it doesn't tell you in that reading of when he meets with them in the upper room, it doesn't tell you about if he had much of an interaction with Peter. Because you've got to imagine that would be an awkward interaction. This would be the first time Peter saw Jesus since he denied him 3 times. This would be the first time that Peter would come face to face, or at least see Jesus, and think, I really dropped the ball with you. It doesn't mention them having an interaction. It doesn't mention that they talked it out. It doesn't even mention how long Jesus was really there. You kind of get the impression he was there to show them. He came back to prove it to Thomas a week later, and then it seems he just, disappeared again. So we don't know how much interaction Peter's really had. And Peter, he's shown in the Gospels as being really overexcited. And he seems to think, to some degree, he's a better follower than the rest of them. At one point in the Bible it says, even if these other people fall away, I never will. He brags about, I'm the one who will never turn away. When the soldiers come to arrest Jesus, he gets his sword out, cuts off one of their ears. He's hasty, he's brash. He believes I would never fall away from Jesus, which is why it's such a big thing that when he denies Jesus 3 times, that is a big deal. This is the one who said he never would. This is the one who believed his faith was stronger than the others. And then a few hours later, he denies Jesus 3 times. He goes to hide in an upper room rather than seeking Jesus. He forgets everything that Jesus has told him previously about coming back, being resurrected, ignores it all, or rather forgets it. So there's some awkwardness there. And it brings us to John 21, our reading that we just had. So I don't get the impression they really spoke in that upper room. They may have done, but it doesn't read that way to me. But Jesus has disappeared, he's shown himself to Thomas, and Peter decides, I'm going fishing. And I don't think that's an accidental thing. I get the impression that Peter is going back to what he knows. Peter was a fisherman. The way Jesus called Peter in Luke chapter 5 is he sees him as a fisherman. He says, have you caught anything? He's there, we've been out all night, caught nothing. And he says, lay out your nets on the other side and you will catch them. And Peter says, very almost sarcastically, we've been out all night, there's nothing there, but at your word, we will do it. And he finds all this fish. As a fisherman, he knows that water is empty. He knows there's nothing there. So when the fish come, it's a miracle that means something to him, because he understands it. It means something to him and his profession. And at that moment, Jesus says, follow me. I'm going to make you a fisher of men. And Peter does. His life's transformed. He's no longer a fisherman. He's a follower of Christ. He's no longer just a fisherman. He's a fisher of men. His life is transformed. And yet without Jesus, he goes back to what he knows. If any of us really get knocked hard, we tend to go back to what we know. It's a natural instinct. We go back to what we know. We go back to what we feel we can do. We go back to what feels comfortable. Peter goes back to fishing. He says to the disciples, I'm going to go fishing. You get the impression he feels a bit beaten up. He's going back to what he knows. He's going back out of that calling into I'm just a fisherman. So that's what I'm going to do. So Jesus shows up on the shore, just like in Luke 5. Jesus yells out to them, put your net over the other side, just like in Luke 5. It says that the amount of fish there is, 153, that it's too much to actually haul into the boat, just like in Luke 5. The same thing is happening, almost as if Jesus is calling him a second time. Jesus has seen him revert back to a previous identity, and Jesus is calling him back to that new one. Jesus isn't willing to leave him there in that old life. He's calling him back to where he knows he should be. It's a reminder to Peter, I called you to be more than this. So John recognizes who it is, and he tells us that's Jesus on the shore. Peter, not even waiting, we already know he's quite a brash character, jumps in the water and goes to Jesus. I think he knows what's happening. I think he knows this is exactly how I was called the first time. This is for me, and I want it again. I want a second chance. He's desperate for it, and why wouldn't you be? He leaps into the water. He's not even patient enough to wait for the boat to get in itself, which is clearly what they're going to do and what they end up doing. He dives in himself to go to see Jesus. He needs that second chance. And then they have the strangest of conversations. 3 times Jesus asks him, do you love me? And 3 times Peter responds, you know I love you. When we read it in our English translations, it seems, if you were Peter, you'd be quite frustrated. Why do you keep repeating yourself? I have already answered this question. Yes, I love you. Yeah, but do you love me? Yes, I love you. But do you love me? You'd walk away from that kind of conversation if someone kept talking to you like that. But if you read it in the original Greek, something very, very different is happening in that conversation. So Jesus is actually saying, the first time he asks it, he says, do you agape me? There are 4 different words for love in the Greek, 2 of which are used quite constantly through the New Testament. So Jesus says, do you agape me? Agape is the highest of all loves. It's a sacrificial love. It's a selfless love. It's the love that's often used to describe God's love. Jesus is saying, do you love me with the highest of loves? Do you love me with a sacrificial love? Do you love me with a selfless love? And Peter replies, you know I filio you. That is the type of love, of brotherly love, of affection. It's not the highest love. You almost get the impression Peter doesn't feel like he could say that. He's just denied Jesus 3 times. He's just hidden away in an upper room, forgetting what Jesus had told him. Jesus saying, do you love me with the highest of loves? You almost feel his guilt. I love you as best I can, but it's not that. And I know it's not. It's been proven to me. I love you with a brotherly and affectionate love. So Jesus asks a second time, do you agape me? Almost giving him another chance, but do you love me with the highest of loves? Do you love me? And Peter again says, you know that I phileo you. Almost saying, Jesus, you know my love was flawed. You know it didn't last when it should have done. You know that my love for you can only be put to the height of brotherly love, of affection in that sense. Even with Jesus pressing him, he just can't bring himself to say, yes, I love you with the highest of loves. This is Peter who once said, when they all abandon you, when they all give in, I'm going to follow you. I've got the greatest of faith. Now, so humbled by what's happened, he can do little more than say, I love you as brotherly love, but I'm not there yet. I don't have that highest of loves. I can't possibly pretend to have got that. I failed so much. It's almost like he's saying, I want to love you like that, but it'd be a lie if I said I did. There was an interesting podcast not long ago where this clinical psychologist was asked, do you love God with all your heart and your soul and your mind? He said, no. He said, really? He said, that's a pretty tall order. He goes, who could possibly say that with their whole heart and their whole mind that they love God? And the interviewer turned around and said, well, your daughter then? Do you love your daughter with your whole heart and your whole mind and your whole soul? He said, probably not, no. He said, how can you say that? He goes, for the same reasons. How could I possibly, with a wholeheartedness, say that that's true? I'm too flawed. Peter coming to a similar conclusion. So then he gets the third time he's asked. Jesus changes the language. Jesus meets Peter where he is. Jesus rephrases his question. He doesn't say, do you agape me for the third time? He asks him, do you phileo me? He's lowered it almost so that Peter can hit the mark. Instead of Peter, when I can't get there, I can't pretend I'm at that point, Jesus lowers it and goes, fine, do you phileo me? And it says that Peter had a sadness when this was said, because he recognizes what's happened. The bar has been lowered for him. And he says, you know everything, and you know that I phileo you. You know I have that love for you. That's what grace is. That's what the gospel message is. It's the knowledge that we're not perfect. We don't have it all together. We will fall short. We will make mistakes, and we will fall back into old habits just as Peter did. Christ is still there, and he will meet us where we are. It's very similar to Mark 9, where the father with the boy who's demon-possessed comes, and Jesus says, if you believe I can heal him, then I will. And he goes, I believe, help my unbelief. This standard of, I want to believe, and I'm trying to believe. But I'd be lying if I said I thought that this was going to happen. I believe, help my unbelief. And Jesus goes, that's enough. And he heals the boy. Likewise, Peter, do you love me with the highest of loves? Do you love me with a godly form of love? A whole, all-encompassing love? No, God, I don't. I wish I did, but I don't. I only love you in a brotherly sense. I only love you at this standard. But do you love me with the highest of loves, Peter? Do you really love me in a selfless way? Well, I don't. I can't pretend I do. Fine. Do you love me with brotherly love? Yes, I do. And I want more. Jesus lowers it for Peter. Jesus meets Peter where he's at. Peter affirms his love. It's not perfect, and yet Jesus responds. And when you look at what happens on each response, what Jesus is doing is reaffirming Peter. The first time Jesus asks, do you agape me? Lord, I phileo you. He says, feed my lambs. Lambs are these vulnerable baby creatures. We're often known as sheep in a flock. This idea of the young believers, the ones just starting out, the young children, feed them, nourish them, help them to grow, help these new believers to grow, help these new Christians These new followers of me, help them to get where they need to be. Help them to grow in faith. And he asks them again, do you agape me? Lord, you know I phileo you. He says, tend to my sheep. This image of more mature believers, those who are a bit more grown and seasoned in the faith, tend to them, look after them, help them, protect them. Even with his flawed responses, Jesus is commissioning him after each response, as if to go, I will still use you. And at the final one, fine, do you phileo me? Yes, Lord, you know everything, I phileo you. Then nourish all, he says, feed my sheep. Nourish all the people of God, help them to grow. Even with Peter's flawed responses, even with Peter's mistakes, even with his massive fall from grace, Jesus commissions him. I will still use you. And what I called you to in Luke 5, I am still calling you to now. When I said you are my rock on whom I will build my church, that is still true. Peter admits his love, however incomplete, and Jesus commissions him. He restores him. He says, I still trust you, and I still want you, and I still have purpose for you. And the number 3, I don't think that's accidental either. Peter denies Christ 3 times. And 3 times he's given the opportunity to right that wrong. He denied, but he claims his love. He denies again, he claims his love. He denies again, he claims his love. It's almost like Jesus has given him the opportunity to change those mistakes into what they should have been. He's allowed him to correct it. He's turned his failure into mission. And maybe that's where a lot of us are, and I think very often in life we do get to this point. We feel we've fallen short in too many ways. The world beats us up a bit. We get knocked back in quite a way. We feel like we've let God down in the most dramatic of ways. And we go back to things. We go back to what we thought we knew. We go back to an identity outside of Christ because we feel we're not worthy enough for that. And if that is you, if that is ever you at any point, Jesus still stood there on the shore saying, I still want you. I can still use you. And even if you're not that perfect model, even if you're not that perfect end piece, I'll meet you where you are. I'll come to you. If you can't claim that highest of loves for me, that's fine. I'll meet you where you're at. But the thing is, you could just stay in the boat. You could just decide, I don't want it. I want to keep to the identity of God. I want to stay being the fisherman. I want to stay with this identity. It was too hard. It was this. It was that. I don't want it. I want to stay in the boat. Peter had to actively seek Christ. Jesus didn't force him. He didn't pull the boat in himself and force Peter into a conversation. Peter went to him. He's there on the shore asking that question. Do you love me? Because if you do, he's got some work for you. He's not given up on you. And even when we struggle to believe in him, he very much believes in us. So wherever your boat is, jump out of it. Wherever you need help with, seek Christ over it. Wherever you feel you failed, seek Christ over it. That is the heart of the gospel. He's there to restore you, to forgive you, and to commission you. Just need to go to it.